This is Tulsa, the second largest city in Oklahoma, situated between the Great Plains and the Ozarks, and booming remote work city. Tulsa wouldn't be the first city that comes to mind when you picture where tech and remote workers live, but it's increasingly becoming a hugely popular place to relocate. This is no doubt helped by the Tulsa Remote Program, which issues $10,000 relocation grants to workers who move there. While it may sound crazy at first, Tulsa Remote's $10,000 grants have been wildly successful in drawing attention to the city and luring in high-tech remote workers. The premise of the program is simple. If you have full-time remote work or move your business to Tulsa within the calendar year, you can apply for the grant. If you are selected, you can either receive a partial upfront payout and ongoing monthly stipends for a total amount of $10,000, or a lump sum cash payment of $10,000. This money can be used for moving expenses, monthly rent, or ideally used towards the down payment on a new house in Tulsa. Additionally, there are other perks, such as a spot in a co-working space in downtown, a network of peers who also received the grant, and access to special events. The program in Tulsa alone has received tens of thousands of applications and has awarded the grants to over 375 people just in the first 2 months of 2021 alone. Tulsa's program was one of the first of its kind, but it is not alone. Many small cities and even rural areas across the country are developing and launching similar programs to incentivize and draw in remote workers. Northwest Arkansas, an area home to Fayetteville and Bentonville, itself home to a small company called Walmart, is offering a similar $10,000 talent incentive for remote workers who relocate to the area within 6 months. Other programs are taking a different approach and targeting small businesses and startups. Savannah, Georgia, a city on the Atlantic coast, has been offering startups direct relocation assistance of up to $2,000 per person for that company. Recently, this program has also expanded to remote workers, offering the same incentive for any worker who chooses to relocate to Savannah, regardless of whether their company moves. Big cities aren't going away, but the virus and subsequent rise of remote work has changed the calculus for many people on where they choose to live. Pre-pandemic, if you wanted to work in tech and weren't part of senior management, you had to be in an office. Legions of talented young workers chasing careers in tech moved to the big metro areas of the Bay Area, New York, and Seattle. These cities were already among the more expensive in the country 30 years ago, but since the rise of the technology industry, housing and the cost of living in these large cities has become outrageous. Many people who would have preferred smaller cities or even rural life had to sacrifice living where they want to get the career they want. With the rise of remote work, however, working from anywhere really means anywhere. Smaller and medium-sized cities have a lot of appeal for a lot of the workers who relocate. They are, on average, many times more affordable than the largest metros. Housing supply usually isn't squeezed. Families who are middle class and unable to afford even the cheapest housing in San Francisco or New York can easily afford their own home in these smaller cities. The draw of home ownership and building wealth through property is part of the American dream and is alone enough of a reason for many people and families to choose to relocate. The general cost of living is cheaper too. Everything from gas to groceries to car insurance is more affordable in smaller cities. Additionally, reduced traffic, less crowding, easier access to nature, and a smaller city culture are appealing to lots of people. Remote workers clearly benefit a lot from these incentive plans and are moving to smaller cities. But how do the cities fare? Paying hundreds of people $10,000 each is quite costly after all. And it's taxpayer money which could otherwise be spent on infrastructure, hiring teachers, or developing new land. Well, in the short run, the economics of these programs are actually quite strong. In Topeka, Kansas, which runs a remote incentive program, the city estimates that it receives a 10x annual return on investment in its program. The investment has a multiplier effect. The workers who relocate bring with them high-paying jobs and tax revenue. They over-index into purchasing homes, which also boosts tax revenue, and they are likely to stay in their new city long-term, which adds to the workforce and tax base. In the long run, the economics are even clearer. With the great dispersion of tech companies and talent spreading all across the country, luring in these high-tech workers can be an enormous gain for cities. Take Miami, for example. 12 months ago, no one would have considered Miami to be a tech or banking hub. Now, Miami is seeing a surge of interest and relocation from big tech, Wall Street finance, and startups alike. Miami has gone from not on the map to rivaling Austin as the next great tech hub and New York as the center of high finance in the span of just a year. The economic benefit to any small or medium city of capturing even part of this pie is unparalleled. If a city like Tulsa can lure a critical mass of high-tech remote workers, those workers will eventually leave their current jobs to start their own companies. And it only takes one single startup in a city becoming a runaway success to forever change a city's finances and reputation in the tech world as a place for innovation and growth. The losers in all of this are neither the small cities paying these incentives nor the workers who relocate. Rather, it's the tech hubs of San Francisco, New York, and Seattle who will see slowing growth, decreased innovation, and an ever-worsening financial state as more workers and companies take their jobs and tax dollars to more affordable and livable parts of the country.